Live from deep inside that Dune popcorn bucket. It's the Geek Show.
Tony.
What?
What's that coming up from the bottom of the bucket?
Ooh. It's just greasy popcorn.
On this episode of Geek.
Yeah.
How is everyone? We're all here. Hey, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rebecca Frost is here. Hi, Rebecca.
Cheerio, mates.
What, you got tea in there?
I've got coffee.
There's
A
tea in
cuppa.
there, in it.
I got coffee, and I've got a complaint with my local Macy's. They've been out of the vanilla Planet Oatly creamer for 2 weeks now.
Oh, man.
Bastards.
Oh no.
Come up to the east side.
I've had to go to almond milk.
Come up to the east side. We've got it up here. Come up here.
I am
Why
on
don't you
the
just
east
DoorDash
side,
Oh, you
Jerry.
are. That's right. Never mind. Yeah, DoorDash that stuff, would you? Oh. Hello, Robert. How are you?
Hello, doing well, thanks.
You were quite amused by that.
I am just like, there's another grocery store across the street and just.
I don't
want
to go to that one
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
because I
I'll just-
don't want to have to turn left, and that one requires left-hand turns.
Oh, I see.
No,
Okay.
just go
But you could
come
do a
straight
series of
across.
right-hand turns to get there too, if you wanted to.
Yes. Like NASCAR.
That
a
Reliant
series-
K album. That
that's a
Reliant
left-hand
K
turn.
album
Yeah.
of three right turns don't make a left, but four do. I think is the name of the album.
I don't know. Lee George Cade is here. Hi.
Make it so.
Oh,
I said.
thank you. He's been watching
Yeah.
some Star Trek a lot, I'll bet you.
I'm delirious with it.
He was singing the Borg Baby song earlier. You
Borg Incubator Baby song.
Borg
Baby
Incubator.
Borg, baby Borg.
It's a classic now.
We'll have the full-length version of it for you on the Space Show.
Yeah.
Quad T, Too Tall Tony. Tony
Hey.
Eccles is here. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
And
Hey,
our
don't
host.
forget our host.
Mr.
Never
Kerry
gonna let me-
Jackson.
You're never going to let me live that down, are you?
It's one of my favorite things you've ever done.
What was it?
That's me
this.
doing...
The screen gems.
That's the Screen Gems Motion Pictures opening.
I don't think you were here for that episode, Rebecca, were you?
No, she was not.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
You missed out.
Listen, even if I was here, I can guarantee I do not remember.
Here, you'll
Something.
remember. I'll make you remember. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Okay, pay me a word picture.
See? I mean, it's the same thing. It's
This is from
exactly-
before my time.
Oh, it's before mine too, but I just latched onto it.
All right.
I used to
Let's-
mosh to that.
Please, someone pull Lee out of the mosh pit. He's
He's going nuts to the Screen Gems
out
tune
of
again.
control.
I've had requests to make that available, so maybe
All right.
maybe on the Patreon,
Sure.
a little single drop for people on Patreon that can put it as their text tone or something.
Yet another
Yeah.
reason to join the Patreon.
There you go.
Geekshowgotthiscovered.com. And I
coming
promise
at ya.
I'll have some videos this week, I promise. All right, let's begin, shall we? Well, Tony,
Oh,
do you feel vindicated because of this story?
I have a sound for this.
Vindication!
Pictured here, Christopher Nolan telling you, "Hey, you don't have to understand my movie."
I immediately
I've
thought
been
of
telling
Captain
people
Holt.
that for years.
I just it was a delightful interview on Stephen Colbert. It made Christopher Nolan human for the first time ever, and
This is the first time I've actually liked Christopher Nolan because he is like, "Hey, listen, I get it. Tenet is not. Listen, you can only watch Tenet if you get Wordle in 3 and you get connections on the first 4 tries. Like
Even then,
that's who Tenet is for."
No, even then, he said it just, there's parts of it that just don't really make sense. And that's not what I was shooting for. And so, you know what? Everyone that spent hours explaining it to me, you're wrong.
he,
I have a
He said-
question though.
yes.
What movies for people who get Wordle in 4?
I couldn't tell you because those movies also aren't for me.
Exactly. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, so I find being like mostly sedentary and semi-comatose really makes me good at Wordle.
Oh, good.
Oh, it's leveling up.
Nice.
Okay.
I haven't played today.
Well, A couple of the things that he said in this interview was that he loves the Fast and Furious movies.
As he
Who doesn't?
should.
To which Stephen Colbert said, "I've not seen any of them," and Nolan was shocked and
Stephen.
I
said,
haven't either.
and
I
said
haven't-
you
I haven't seen it either.
and said you could start at Tokyo Drift and go forward, and that was it.
That's how you know. That's how you know he's a real fan.
Yeah. He also said that one of the greatest casting consequences in movie history was Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
He's got
Would
a point.
agree.
So I thought that was interesting.
Can we talk we don't have to talk about it. I'm just gonna mention it briefly. The Oscars are announcing a best casting category that will start appearing in the Oscars in 2 years. Just thought that was
So
kind of
who's
is
that for?
interesting.
The casting director, I guess, would win it. Or
I guess. I don't
Maybe.
know. But
There's a
here-
really fascinating interview with Robert Downey Jr. about Tony Stark, about how Oppenheimer comes out and he does the same caliber of acting he does in everything else.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's award bait.
Yeah.
But he does a whole series of movies for Marvel where he completely plays the rise and fall, deconstruction, redemption of an incredibly flawed, incredibly human character. And they're just like, superhero movie.
Superhero
Yeah.
movie.
And Ruffalo's talking about the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and Downey even said that's some of the best acting I have ever done and
Yeah.
probably ever will do. So,
Yeah.
But here's what Nolan said. If you are experiencing, he's talking about Tenet. If you are experiencing my film, then you are getting it. I feel very strongly about that. When asked about people not understanding his movies, I feel very strong about that. I feel like where people have experienced frustrations with my narratives in the past is sometimes I think they are slightly missing the point. It's not a puzzle to me to be unpacked, but an experience to be had, preferably in a movie theater, but also at home. You're not meant to understand everything in Tenet. It's not all comprehensible.
see, okay. First of all, I got to play this sound again.
Vindication!
Now, let
And
me just quote.
secondly, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Gary.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I had something to say about this strongly enough that I decided to tweet about it.
Whoa, Tony.
And my tweet says, if he's so into offering experiences to people instead of coherent movies, he should get into drug dealing.
Tony,
Or maybe-
get him, sick him,
Or maybe start
Absolutely
running
destroy Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, or maybe start running the projector at laser shows and planetariums. Boom, got him.
God, brutal. Stop. He's already dead.
Any
Whoa, Hammer,
time,
don't hurt him.
any time that I can quote. Anytime that I can quote Pink Floyd, I will, and you know this. So you thought you might like to go to the show to feel the warm thrill of confusion, that space cadet glow. All right.
That's Tenet right there. I feel so good. Now, everybody, just so you know, I'm going to continue to dump on Tenet, even though I've been vindicated, just because
That's
it's part of my
fine.
personality now.
Well, now, I think this was all in part of Tenet being re-released in IMAX briefly before Dune 2, and the extra footage of Dune 2 being showed with Tenet. I don't think you need to go and see that because I have discovered online that there's a good 5 minutes of Dune 2 uncut available online right now. It was in the
Dune 2 raw and uncut. Just
Yeah.
out there on the internet.
Just
and
like
it
the
was-
popcorn bucket.
Yeah, exactly. And
Disgusting. Where?
Only one of these kids is using that bucket right.
now, that's right.
If you have not seen this is the sketch from last week's SNL where Ayo Edebiri hosted.
Yeah.
And she's crushed every sketch she was in, but they have a music video specifically about the Dune 2 bucket.
Yep, it's a song. But this was shared by Fandango. It fully reveals the first time that Paul Atreides rides a sandworm. And the way that it's
Spoilers.
done is absolutely beautiful. It starts out with Javier Bardem, that's it. Javier Bardem talking to Paul about how to do it, how it's very important that this will be the last test for you. This will prove to us that you're supposed to lead us and all that. And then he gets this device out, sticks it in the sand, and it's the way it's shot, it builds up tension just beautifully. It sticks this device in the hand, this device that starts thumping, the thumping sound, to call the sandworms. And one comes toward him, and he pulls out these two like ice axes and gets ready to, and he hops on top of that sandworm and he rides it and guides it. It was just incredible. Again, if you're a fan of Dune, this has got to be very exciting. But even me, not a fan of Dune, I just went, wow, that's cool.
I hope they can keep making movies because my favorite thing about Dune is everybody loves Paul Atreides. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the third, fourth, fifth book, and you're like, oh, they're right about absolute power.
Have you heard what people are saying about Dune 2? It is being compared to The Dark Knight Rises and also being called Denis Villeneuve's Empire Strikes Back.
Well,
Bold words.
That's some big words.
I mean, Empire was a shitty movie, so I don't know why they're comparing it to that.
Yeah, got him,
I said that to a friend of mine, and I was like, yeah, people are calling it this generation's Empire Strikes Back. And she's like, oh, is that good?
Anyway,
the sandworm at the end will turn down to Paul and say, "No, Paul, I am your father."
yes. But anyway, it's called a thumper. Thank you, Egg.
Hello.
Duh.
The thing that thumps on the
thing
ground.
that thumps is called a thumper. Oh, you
It's a
can
big
call
bass
me-
drum.
You can call me Flower if you want to. Anyway, yes. So look for that on Fandango social media. All right.
Or
Let's do
Fantangle.
or
That's a
Fantangle.
good service, too.
That is good too. Let's do some quick housekeeping, and then we'll get to the rest of the news. First of all, our Patreon, as we mentioned, geekshowgotthiscovered.com. I promise to have some more videos there this week. I'm going to do a couple on Monday. Also, our merch. Oh, yeah, and you get the Space Show early on our Patreon as well. So
Yay.
It's getting good, you guys. I not this upcoming episode, but the episode after is when we get to Star Trek. That's all new to me, so I'm like extra excited to talk about I'm already excited to talk about Star Trek, but now I'm like extra excited to talk about Star
we're
Trek.
getting ready to leave season 2 and head into season 3.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank whatever divinity you hold holy.
Exactly. Don't forget our merch. Our merch is available as well. And we are, I keep threatening, but I promise, get that fashion doll adjacent version soon because it will go away.
Or else.
Yes. I especially love the hoodie. I think the hoodie is one of the best things that we've done. Kudos to Lee for that design.
Thank you.
I just think that it's so great. And I love the name of the show on the sleeve and the big logo on the back.
Yeah,
it's just
looks
beautiful. Great looking hoodie. All right. And of course, our friend Lee George Cade is back on the show, and we're thrilled to have him back on the show. He's he's getting stronger to go in for more surgeries. Yay! So if you can, go to our social media and Venmo some money to the Lee George Cade Save My Insides Fund.
Save my insides.
Well,
Hey,
save
I'm,
some of
I'm
them.
working off half a pancreas, and that half is doing a good job.
Good job, half.
Yeah. Like, you're half the pancreas you used to be, but you're doing a gangbusters job, buddy.
Kudos.
And then it goes gurgle, 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 spurt. So that's what the pancreas says. Remember that on the speak and spell.
Yes.
Pancreas says gurgle, gurgle, gurgle,
Right
spurt.
behind the cow says moo.
Yep.
So go to our social medias and you'll find that Venmo QR code and go ahead and do it. And if you follow us on Twitter, Geek Show, you get breaking news throughout the week. And you'll probably figure out what we're going to talk about on the show. Okay.
Spoilers.
I know, right? So I had this story printed earlier this week about a new director for the next Jurassic World movie, and by golly, woke up this morning and he is no longer in the running for it.
Obviously, he got eaten by this Thingaraptor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The short run.
David Leitch was in talks to direct it, and I thought, well, that's great because he's got a great. He did Atomic Blonde, he did Deadpool 2, he did Bullet Train. These are all.
Bullet
He
Train's
directed
so good.
Hobbs and Shaw, all of these action films, so I thought this would be great.
Oh, wait, is Hobbs and Shaw technically a Fast and the Furious movie?
Yeah, so Hobbs and Shaw. Okay, so it's Fast and the Furious
No,
presents Hobbs and Shaw.
I don't need that.
You just wanted a simple yes or no.
Lee just
I just
did an exact perfect impression of my wife when we watched the Marvels last night. Exactly.
Why are they on Planet Bollywood? No.
Actually, I don't care.
Okay. So, no, I
exactly.
can finally correct myself and say that I have seen and enjoyed a Fast and the Furious movie.
Okay, there we go.
See?
There we go.
So then I woke up this morning and it says that David Leitch is no longer attached to direct this new Jurassic World movie. And then I found out what's really going on. Apparently, Universal is fast-tracking this so much because they want a July 2nd, 2025 release. They're fast-tracking this so much that they've pretty much got the whole thing put together, and he wouldn't be a director necessarily. He'd be he'd be a shooter.
A fancy editor.
Yeah, he would be a fancy editor. So that's apparently what's going on. Sources say close to him said that there was no room for new ideas. So now that's the bad news. The good news is that apparently the plot is one that I've been begging for, which is
I go to space.
no, I wish. You're thinking of the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, I am.
No, this was. It says it has an Escape from New York kind of feel. So apparently dinosaurs are everywhere and have taken over.
Hey, now we're talking.
That's what I have always wanted.
Oh, I
with
guess
these
that
movies.
is how. I guess that is how that last one ended, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
I'm
okay,
never going to get my musical Jurassic Park.
you're not.
never know.
Unless we write it.
Dinosaurs on Broadway. Just saying.
Dinosaurs on Broadway. Yeah,
I'm
ready.
I'll do the choreography. I'm good. I can get
Yeah, you are. I forgot. When we did our musical Planet of the Apes, you had that whole ape side story thing going on.
Would love to see Jurassic Park musical, but in the form of cats, where it's just dinosaurs introducing themselves for the whole musical.
I am the Stegosaurus. I like that. I like that.
Look out, it's Jellicle Rex.
I have a mighty tail. I'm Stegosaurus. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, we did get some good news this week because we all liked that last Predator movie, Prey, right?
Yeah.
It's the best Predator movie.
It is. Well, Daniel Trachtenberg and 20th Century Studios are getting ready to not just do another Predator movie, but they're going to make a whole Predator universe. There's a bunch of projects in the work, and apparently Daniel Trachtenberg is going to be the Kevin Feige of these all.
Hell yeah,
Oh,
brother.
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's the new Predator film is called Badlands. It is not a sequel to Prey, which was set in 1719. Apparently, this one is set in the future, and will feature a female lead. I saw Katie Sackhoff already volunteering to be the lead,
Get her in there.
which I'm all for. Let's see, but they're getting it prepared and getting ready to go. So
I'm going to throw out a daring challenge to this crew. Leave the xenomorphs out of it. You don't need them. You got a solid IP. Do it. Make it work.
But my crossovers.
I'll do a
Yeah,
challenge on top
they
of
did-
Lee's
they did, like-
challenge.
3 of them. They don't need it.
I'll do a challenge on top of Lee's challenge. Predators versus dinosaurs. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Make it a musical.
Roar.
A musical.
Yeah.
All right.
Like Predator 2 was supposed to be.
A musical?
But, sure. But the surprise success of Prey, is really what did it. Now the studio's planning a host of Predator projects with Trachtenberg at the center. And, of course, since they're all owned by Disney, that means that
They're all
there's-
princesses.
They're all princesses. Yes.
I feel bad for Shane Black because he made a good Predator movie.
He did. It was
did.
all right.
Yeah.
That was the Halloween
yeah.
one,
I mean,
right?
yeah, it was mostly all right.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I can't remember if it was Halloween or Christmas, but knowing him.
Okay, well, let's get into this. And I'm very frustrated about this whole thing because y'all know how much I love the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
There was this article going around from The Wrap, which is an okay source, and I read the article, and there was a lot of speculation in it. And so I sourced it out to y'all and to Lawyer Mike, and here's what he had to say about it. It's all based on the speculation that Warner Brothers will kill it with the earnings call. That's certainly possible, and the earnings call happens at the end of this month. There's no announced deal with anyone else yet. When public interest seems to have waned again, which makes it more likely. The biggest issue is that the budget is reportedly $70 to $80 million, making P&A about another 21 to 24 million, and WB doesn't think it will bring in 200 million theatrically to make it all worth it. And they don't think that it'll increase subscriptions anywhere near those amounts. So there you go. But yeah, the story going around from the Wrap is that one of the people behind the movie spoke to them and said, it's not looking good. It looks like they're just going to delete it. Oh, I like that. Thank you.
Zaslav season. Oh, yes.
Well played.
Yeah, and it's truly a sad. Again, it got Batgirled, and I got thinking about this, and I'm like, isn't this ripping off the taxpayer somehow?
Oh, yeah.
When you delete this movie and make it go away and get tax money instead, that seems like tax fraud of some kind.
I've been seeing people say that, if you are writing this off for tax purposes, it should be public domain because it's paid for by the people at this point. And so why shouldn't it be available to everybody?
That's true.
Release it like the Wonder Woman pilot.
Yeah, just leak it. I'm praying somebody will just leak it.
Somebody needs to leak that stuff before.
I'll give you a flash drive. Just get in there and sneak it out.
Is Coyote and Roadrunner relevant to any generation past ours, Carrie? I mean, I feel like a lot of it just kind of nosedived after Mel Blanc died.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm of the age where Space Jam was very important to me.
Oh, I forget about Space Jam. I completely forget about Space Jam. Sorry about that.
I watched
the Looney Tunes are timeless.
Yeah, I watched all the old Looney Tunes growing up. So
I mean, a lot of them have a lot of stuff in them that doesn't work today. But the thing about the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote is it's all sight gags. There's no voices. It's all expression. It can be understood in any language.
I object. I object. Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
That was the one where he was with Bugs Bunny and he spoke. That's a different cartoon. He trust me, he never spoke in a Roadrunner cartoon. He only spoke to Bugs Bunny.
I will always remember his.
So it's a voice in
suit.
Bugs Bunny's head.
now we're talking, yeah.
But that's what's great about the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote is that they are universally understood, and it's also there's so much. Psychologically, you can get out of it. Is Wile E. Coyote a fool or is he a never give up, optimist?
So much philosophy to be had.
There is. Anyway, let's see. They stood to make 35 to 40 million with the tax write-down. They're asking everybody, and they said we're going to open it up to bidding, but apparently the bidding was kind of a shitty situation. And also the Warner Brothers executives, the four of them for making this decision, apparently never saw the movie.
Yeah, don't you love that?
Yeah, so cool, so cool.
Ridiculous.
It was just a decision that was made by bookkeepers, So, anyway,
That sucks.
And everybody who has seen it said that it's enjoyable. And anyway, do they have Space Jam 2 shyness here? Is that what they're concerned about?
There was something in that Wrap article about how the last time we saw the Looney Tunes was in Space Jam 2, and that was a garbage movie.
Yes.
But you can't blame the Looney Tunes for that.
No.
I wonder.
anyway.
Well, I wonder
Are
too
you sure?
because so much of the Looney Tunes also is poking fun, is like meta commentary, right, about the people who own them, and apparently that's also like what Coyote versus Acme kind of is. Like it ends with a court hearing about them versus the studio, and you have to wonder, like, and especially after Space Jam 2, where it's literally saying an algorithm is not going to make your stuff better. And so you have to wonder if they're just like, we're tired of this damn cartoon telling us how to run our business. And so we can't have that.
They're like, wait a minute, we want to do those things, so we can't
Maybe the
have them
problem
telling
is-
us, making us look bad.
Maybe Bill Hader came in and said, "Hey, that's the whole plot of Barry season 3." Algorithms choosing whether a show can be successsul.
Yeah, I think this is tax fraud, and somebody
What's
needs to look
Biden's
into it.
plan to release Coyote versus Acme?
At the end of the day, I think Taylor Swift's to blame.
You guys, I'm so ready to turn on Taylor Swift. I'm about to enter my Taylor Swift hater era. It's very exciting.
Wait, so you're ready to turn on her? Why?
Why would you do that?
How did Taylor
Oh,
hurt
you
you?
guys, it is a whole thing. She announces her album release at the Grammys, which is like proposing to somebody at someone else's wedding. And also, her whole brand is built upon the idea of her being an underdog, right? She's no longer an underdog. She is the most
She's
famous.
been rich since the day she was
She
born.
hasn't
How does
been an
that ever make her an
underdog
underdog?
ever.
I know, but in the beginning, her whole deal was her being the underdog. And now she's the most famous person in the world. She's a billionaire, right? Like, she is no longer an underdog, and she's not necessarily using her powers for good, right? Like, she's suing a college student for tracking her jet usage, which wasn't just about her. It was also about a bunch of other people who are using jets. It just happened to include her, but she's suing
Right.
that college student to stop it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but also there were AI generated images of her that were very inappropriate that she, heard of, and they started taking swift, pun intended, action against the use of AI images. So it's kind of funny that when it affects everybody else in basic existence and work life, AI, don't even worry about it. Taylor Swift gets upset though, must protect the celebrities and
That's right.
do all we can to take down AI. And also this
You know,
album
just-
that she's about to release, all about her breakup with her ex-boyfriend. She's about to ruin this
That's every
man's life.
album.
But like even more so now that she has like, since this tour and her last album, she's like skyrocketed way more than she was previously. This man's life is about to be absolutely destroyed because of the
February
army of fans
10th.
that she has.
Let me just say
it's-
this to the Swifties: send the hate mail directly to Rebecca.
I was gonna
Very-
say, this is a very different Rebecca.
Listen,
than a month ago.
I think Taylor Swift. I like her music. I'm still technically a Taylor fan. I'm just saying, the turn's a coming. You cannot be the most popular person in the world for very long, right? You can only go up so far before things have to start coming back down.
Hey, it's
And I-
working out for Elon Musk.
Oh,
Yeah,
is it now?
everybody loves him.
Wow.
I was actually
Hey,
thinking of that
so,
specific
I'm
example.
just
I
gonna
was
tell
like,
Thank you, Brett.
Just like
Haters
I'm
gonna
just going
hate.
to tell you what my mom always says in situations like this. Rich people gonna rich people.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're getting shitty behavior from a person who hasn't lived like a human being for an entire day of her life. I'm not surprised. Yeah, and somebody in the comment section said she's made football interesting.
she's got that going for her.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on to our next story here. Game of Thrones spinoff. Are you?
Oh, God.
Are you okay with this?
Another one?
Another one. They're
Is
developing.
this the failed one or a new one?
This is a different one. This is
goodness.
They're partnering with Mattson Tomlin, who did uncredited work on the Batman movie and is co-writing the Batman Part 2. He also wrote the Keanu Reeves action comic book Berserker,
Okay.
and an animated Terminator series, which is going to be he's going to be showrunning for Netflix. But this is called Aegon's Conquest.
Wait a minute. I don't care about any of this. Let's go back talk about the animated Terminator series.
Oh,
what
that's
can you
in
tell me about
development,
that?
He's working on it.
Yes.
It'll be on Netflix.
All right.
Aegon's Conquest is basically a direct prequel to House of the Dragon, telling the story.
Good. More
This is a
know, right?
prequel of a prequel.
Exactly.
What?
Telling the story of the Targaryens' bloody and brutal conquest of Westeros. The story follows the invader Aegon Targaryen, who conquered the continent of Westeros with his sister wives and their dragons.
Are they called sister wives because they are straight up his sisters whom
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
has yep, okay.
That's exactly right.
Stepped.
But he successfully unified 6 of the 7 kingdoms in just 2 years, with only Dorne able to successfully resist. So that will be this story here.
They're noted for their white hair supremacy.
Hey, speaking of royal incest, what do you think about King Charles getting prostate cancer, huh?
I just don't care.
I'd say do away with the royals. needs them?
I mean, obviously,
They're a
but,
parasite
like,
on the system.
obviously, no one's disagreeing with you there.
Hey,
I read the
I can
news.
think of about Oh,
I
sorry,
read
Tony.
I was going to say I read the news and I couldn't shrug fast enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think fingers crossed, the funniest thing ever to happen. So King Charles's money hasn't even been printed yet. The new King Charles money is supposed to start printing in March of 2024. I hope
Collector's
he
edition.
dies before then.
Well,
Whoa.
now Rebecca, he just might, because he's not a big believer in medicine.
no, we love a king who will only take herbs and potions.
Is he going to go the way of Steve Jobs?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
not gonna do
Steve Jobs is going to be waiting for him on the other
Yep.
side, going, dude, why didn't you listen?
Couldn't have learned from my mess ups? Come on.
Yeah. Love it when a king just relies on herbs and potions.
And fans of the British royal family and the monarchy, make sure to address that mail to Rebecca Frost,
Yes, because I'm staying
Geek
out.
Show podcast.
Why are you
She's
guys
taking
so
a
afraid of
spicy turn this
controversy?
week.
Huh?
Well, I'm not afraid of
Colonizers.
controversy.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying
I
it's
just-
colonizers, and I'm leaving it there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
I
just
told
think
my sister-in-law that stupid British royal family talk stays outside of our house when she goes to visit.
I just like the idea of Meghan Markle funneling money to some sort of sorcerer somewhere to put a curse on him, and it's worked.
Well, no, you know what it is? It is the decade. It is the accumulation of decades-long karma for the brutal murder of Princess Diana. We, the people, have put in so much energy of hatred towards Prince Charles in regards to what he did to Princess Diana. That the bill has come due.
Yeah, she was shitty too.
This is what I do on the arcade or the help desk when we start talking about conspiracies. That's my tinfoil hat.
Oh,
Put on my tinfoil hat.
All right.
Yeah,
See, I just use my black privilege.
This,
I'm just like, don't care.
don't care.
Prince Harry left California and flew back to England immediately.
Well, it's his
that
dad.
can only mean that things are serious.
Yes, but seriously, did he get a kiss from Daddy? No.
Well, I mean, also you got to take into account flying home for him is like us driving to the grocery store. Like, oh, I need a
Everybody
plane.
knows.
Okay, here we go.
Everybody knows Roman was the favorite Roy. He's the only one that got
He
a
was
kiss
the
from
eldest
Daddy.
boy.
Yeah.
That's right.
This Game of Thrones thing, it's just, come on, guys. George, finish your goddamn books.
Yeah, leave George alone so he can write what he needs to write.
He's not
Do we-
going
yeah.
to.
No.
No, he's
he's
gonna
not.
open up another vintage movie theater in Santa Fe and be like, "Hey, anybody else want to come make the next Expanse series as my D&D proteges?" I mean, that's the only thing he's done in the last 20 years that's worth the shit. Is hired the guys that wrote the Expanse to run his D&D game.
Won't you join me under this bridge?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I like chocolates.
He looks like a troll.
I mean, come on. I think he's just like, the world's changed its moral standing and tolerance for certain things like rape, and he's like, what do I write about now?
Crap, that was all I got.
Yeah.
The people don't like to read about women abuse anymore.
Yeah, that's so 1990s. I think of two things when I think of the 90s: George R.R. Martin and the Dave Matthews Band, and neither one has aged well.
There is no future, and England's dreaming. All right. Let's see. Okay, moving along. In conversation with the French website Conbini,
No.
director Sebastian Vanishek warned his mysterious Evil Dead spin-off movie. This is his warning. Remember, he's French, okay? His evil spin-off movie will be a nasty film, which you will from which you will come away tested.
Okay.
Here's his quote. Here's his quote. I told the studio that I wanted to make a nasty film, a film that hurts, from which you may come away tested. I'm going to put all the horror I have inside. It will be cathartic. And if I haven't ruined my career and I can continue to make films behind it, I will move on to something other than horror.
Wow.
So
He is
You know,
in
when you
100%.
When you started with he's making a nasty movie, like, oh, Janet Jackson, I'm just like, no, never mind, disregard.
wow.
I thought he was describing the last movie.
Yeah, yes.
Did you not like it?
Oh, I
no.
loved it, but it did not sit well with me.
How do you
Oh,
think
yeah?
he got his pancreas hurt?
It
Yeah.
was,
Exactly.
no, I mean, no, that movie was just vicious. Like it
was.
pulled no punches.
Exactly.
And
And
it
this guy
was
wants
so
to
good.
outdo it, you know?
I don't know if I can do that.
Because, yeah, it was tough to watch Evil Dead Rise at times. I mean, it was...
Evil
it
Dead
was-
Rise, I mean, it just started with a giant middle finger in your brain and
Yeah.
kept going
Yeah,
all
because
the way
look
through.
at, like, this is the best title card I've ever
This
seen.
is
Yes.
the beginning of the goddamn movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then
gotta
you
see
get
it.
the Oh, it's good, Rob. It's phenomenal.
It is
Evil
good,
Dead Rise
yes.
is an amazingly good movie, but it is relentless. Like I love the Evil Dead franchise, and I consider Evil Dead 2. I saw that one was like 15 on VHS bootleg, and I remember just being delirious and giddy afterwards because it's that perfect mix of horror and comedy. Evil Dead Rise every once in a while throws a little joke in there, but you're too busy vomiting to get it. 'Cause it's just
All right.
it's relentless.
Yeah.
And it's quick too. Like it doesn't waste
it's
time.
short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
and
put
they
the girls...
give their little tips of the hat to the Evil Dead franchise, but
Yeah. Put the girls to sleep and watch it sometime, Rob. It's...
Okay.
yeah.
Game on.
Yeah.
yeah, it is a punch to the soul.
Any Winona Earp fans here?
Hi, yes, hello, it's me, Rebecca Frost.
Oh, okay, there we
she's
go.
I am Rebecca
fan.
Frost's sidekick, Lee.
This is Vanity Fair has reported that a 90-minute Winona Earp revival movie is
Nice.
set to begin filming soon in Calgary, Canada. It's Calgary, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Calgary?
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Is that how you
Got
say
it.
it? That's how you say it, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's the good news. The bad news is it will stream on Tubi in 2024.
Tubi.
Yeah, it's for Tubi.
To be or not to be.
Exactly.
Oof.
So there you go.
Winona Earp's a lot of fun.
It's
And-
so good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I haven't finished the last season. But this show, highly, highly recommend if you have not seen it. It's just so much fun. Like demon huntery, like it's funny. It's
So, Supernatural?
it is like Supernatural
Along
if you
the
had a
same
female
vein.
lead.
Supernatural,
Okay.
Buffy without
I-
the
I like all those
sweetenism.
shows.
It is exactly it is a lot like Buffy, just without the Joss Whedon-y of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, she's got like is it who's the
Well,
the
wait.
Revenant that she's hanging out with through the whole series?
It's
like an old
so there's Doc Holliday.
Doc
think
Holliday.
him.
Yeah. And
It's yeah. I don't know that he's a revenant though. No,
Well,
he's not. A
yeah, the
revenant
Revenant's
because he's cursed with immortality, is what
Right.
it is.
and
But
he's,
the whole
he's played by the Schitt's kid from Schitt's Creek.
Mutt.
So
Oh, he's Mutt plays. Okay.
yeah, he's
Oh,
Mutt.
okay.
And
But the whole point is she returns home to the town of Purgatory, and using Wyatt Earp's gun, she has to send all these revenants like back to hell, and all of the revenants are the people that Wyatt Earp has killed, and so she has to come back and kill them all,
Yeah.
and save the
Okay,
town
wait a
of
minute.
Purgatory.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Brimstone.
What's
Fox
that?
TV show. So basically, cop gets killed.
Yes.
He makes a deal to come back, and he basically has to kill X number of returned souls from hell.
Yes, I
It's
remember
Brimstone.
that. I
Wasn't
remember
that,
that.
wasn't
This,
that Spawn as well?
It was also Spawn. Well, no, Spawn.
He had to come back and bring escaped souls back to hell,
Oh,
send
yeah,
them back
yeah.
to hell.
I guess it is. Yes.
So
I believe Winona Earp is also based on a comic book. I
It
have
is.
not read
It
it,
is.
but yeah.
as long as it doesn't interfere with her part in Strange New Worlds, I don't care.
I mean,
Is
if
that
she
Christina
survived.
Chong?
No, this is oh my god, what is her name?
This is
She's
Pike's captain lady friend.
Mrs.
Oh.
McMurray from
yeah.
Letterkenny.
Oh, okay.
Ms. McMurray.
Yeah.
Oh,
Melanie?
I like her.
Scarafino.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'll go back and
no,
give this a
she's-
try. There's like what, 3
she's
seasons,
phenomenal.
4 seasons?
There's 4 seasons, but I
Okay.
promise you will not be disappointed.
All right.
No, it's just fun.
Ivy in the chat room was wondering if we discussed Coraline. We weren't planning on it, but it's being re-released in theaters for the anniversary in cleaned up print, and so go see it. Coraline's a great movie.
Great stop motion.
Finally, this story.
Don't
read
let
it-
smooth taste fool you.
Yeah, read an interview in the Hollywood Reporter.
This is a direct quote from Donald
is-
Glover, by the way.
Does
I
it
know
surprise
on
anybody?
Wow. Wow.
Come on.
this quote is from an article he did with the Hollywood Reporter talking about
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And he says, "I know I'm the shit. I put in the work, and my idea of what is cool is a better road for everybody."
Oh,
Yeah.
that is confident.
That is my new gospel right there. I know I'm the shit.
Hey,
Well, and-
nothing wrong with a little swagger. That's-
exactly.
That's a lot of swagger.
and that's what this article basically is about. Is talking about his take on Lando that's coming up. And what was interesting to me was reading this article. It's like, he doesn't work for a paycheck. He only works for projects that he thinks he can bring something to or believes in.
Nice.
And so I thought that was that's what I got out of it. But so anyway, he and his brother Steven have taken the reins of a Star Wars movie. They are developing a Lando film, which Glover would, of course, star in. And that's, of course, good news. But
Give
since
me a
this-
Lando heist movie, and I'm in the, my
please.
my ass is in the seat.
Yep.
Yep.
But we have to remember, since the start of the Disney era, the Star Wars movies have almost always either felt kind of like manufactured projects for
Yeah.
member berries. And,
This is why I don't know why everyone's excited for that Mando Grogu movie. Because, well, you're just excited for a 2-hour-long commercial?
Well,
Okay,
and
guys.
it's hard because I enjoyed Solo, but it was very much the first 15 minutes of Indiana Jones and the
I love
Last Crusade.
I
It's
like
like,
Solo. I
oh,
wanted
sure,
to
but
s-
here's how we got his gun. Here's how we got his hip. Here's how
Here's
we
how
got
we
his
got his
this.
dice.
Here's how we,
Here's
here's
how
how
we
we got
his
his
name.
Chewbacca.
But I think
Yeah.
I think that here we have a little something different because we have
Yeah.
so much in canon movie story for who's Han Solo, blah blah blah, and there's, aside from 2 miniseries, we have limited Lando stuff. So there is an entire history of Lando to mine from this, and
yeah.
I think that you can just go whatever. You're not really
Well-
beholden to anything until you get to the point where it's like, oh hey, he's owning this spaceship.
I just
Go.
hope that this movie gets off the ground, because what we've seen with Lucasfilm is that if they get uncomfortable, they'll just kill a
They just
project.
pulled the plug.
What was the X-wing movie that we were
Rogue
gonna
Squadron
get?
movie.
Rogue Squadron.
Well, don't
things
even
They,
like
forget-
they
that.
pulled
too.
that just off Wonder Woman 2.
Yeah.
Well, don't even forget the one time they let anybody get creative. We got The Last Jedi, and it was
resulted
so
in-
extremely polarizing.
It
that
resulted
they
in the
had-
best Star Wars movie ever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The
how-
Rise of
how-
Skywalker?
How dare Lucasfilm make a creative, inventive, and
Exactly, right?
fearless
Sorry,
Star
no,
Wars
not
movie?
it. That's not that result. I mean, that movie, The Last Jedi, is the best Star Wars movie ever.
No, I
Agreed.
agree. I
In
agree.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
We all
Yeah.
agree on that. We liked it. And
okay. It
Then
is-
they
it
got
is
scared
the
and turned
opinion
away
of
from it.
Geekshow that The Last Jedi is one of the
Yeah.
best Star Wars movies of all
So-
time, because they were able to take creative liberties, but because it scaled people,
Well, and
they
that's-
decided to just cut off
that's-
any adventure from here on out.
exactly, and that means that the Star Wars fans that bitched are the reason that we're getting these decisions.
But
you
they
know,
they learned from that, because I've been watching the fallout from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I have a lot to say about in a few minutes. And
Glover's
everything
so
to do with with Donald Glover. That man can't catch a break right now when it comes to review sites, because these neckbeards have decided that they're just going to tear him apart for everything, whether it's Solo or a Lando project or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I mean, their comments section literally reads almost identical to anything having to do with Captain Marvel.
yeah,
It's
These
like
are the
they're
same
hateful.
people who also haven't seen shows like Atlanta, who don't
Right.
really
Right.
like actually underestimate the creativity that Donald Glover has to present to the world.
Yeah.
So
I
here's
mean,
here's,
Orson Welles had the same swagger, and
Yeah.
it was well earned. So
here's some highlights from the interview. I got them all for you. It's a paragraph. It may take a minute or so. Here's what he said. At this point, I just know when something's going to be good, because you're really fighting the industry when you put your imprint on a franchise as big as Star Wars. I feel like I have enough control, and maybe you get painted as a control freak, but it's like, yeah, control allows for the vision to be singular. And if the vision is singular, people want it more. The less it's singular, the less people want it, because they feel like they could have made it themselves. Look, we live in a time where anybody can fucking make anything. You can go on TikTok. There's literally every type of thing. There's documentaries, there's puppetry, there's yarn stop motion. So why would you want to see something you feel like you could have made? And then he also says another reason he's doing it is because his kids love Star Wars. So
Yeah.
To what he was saying, that's the reason I can't watch esports. So I'm just like, why would I want to watch someone play video games when I can just go play video games myself?
The only esport I can watch is the Star Citizen race. It's like 5,000 kilometers on this barren moon.
Yeah, but that's Star
Tony,
Citizen.
but what
You give
about-
that a pass for everything.
Tony, what
I
about
do.
people who like to watch football? Like, people who like football aren't
Tread
necessarily
lightly.
like, I
Well-
can't. I could just do this at home.
That's different though, because I can go play video games in my room alone and stink up the place, and I still have a good time. Whereas with like team sports, you have to get enough people together. You have to find a location. You know, it's a lot harder to coordinate something like that.
And
But,
it's
I mean,
cold outside.
You're not that far off. Yeah, it's the same train of thought though. Yeah.
But well, let's segue right into what you consumed this week, and we'll start with Lee because he has strong feelings about Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh man, I'm gonna exit.
so hot.
I'm gonna
in that show,
exit.
You guys.
I'm gonna exit with that because
Okay.
okay. About every 3 weeks, I end up watching Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I think it's probably my favorite movie of the last couple of years.
It's a perfect
It's a good movie.
If there's any justice at all, the powers that be will say this was a great movie. Sure, it bombed in the box office, but let's do more because it's everything I love about D&D. It's lighthearted, it's silly, but it's still thrilling. And I can't remember the name of the actor. He was in Bridgerton, but he plays the paladin in this movie.
Brigitte
And,
Jean Page.
oh my God, he kills me. He's everything a paladin should be. I mean, the bit where he's walking away and Chris Pine's like, he's not going to walk around that boulder, is he? And he just walks over it. And I giggle my butt off every single time. And Hugh Grant is living his best Hugh Grant life right now because all he's playing is cheeseball old Hugh Grant, but he did it in Knives Out, in Glass Onion. He's just, I love that man, and I love where he's going in life.
He's
There's a
essentially
silly
doing
little-
that in Wonka too.
He's being silly villains, right? Because like Paddington 2, best villain of all time.
Oh my God, he's so good in that. Yeah. There's a silly little anime on Netflix that just started a couple weeks back called Delicious in Dungeon, and it's so goofy because it's like your D&D adventurers, your classic tropes. You got your warrior, your mage, your thief, and they team up with a dwarf because they party wiped so many times that they don't have enough money for food, so they start foraging in the dungeon for stuff, and they meet this dwarf who's just like, oh, it's really good with those mushroom people is this kind of slime right here is a thing. So it's this high adventure thing where they're out there fighting monsters and disarming traps, and then like 10 minutes of the show is this recipe the dwarf comes up with, and it just makes me laugh, so I really enjoy the hell out of that. Been watching a lot of Next Gen because I'm trying to catch up and do my due diligence since being appointed Commodore of Deep Space 4. I need to stay on top of these things. I'm also a unwavering simp for Wes Anderson, so we finally watched Asteroid City last night. I know some people don't like Wes Anderson, or they think he just does the same thing over and over. I kind of need that in my life, and I was so happy with how deliriously stupid and fun this movie was.
With doing the same, like he's got a style. He's got
a style,
he
and
knows what he does, and he does it well.
I open-heartedly embrace Tom Hanks taking over the Bill Murray role in that movie. You just know from the second he walks on screen that it was Bill Murray's part, and the fact that he's got a pistol tucked in his freaking lounge pants the whole movie.
Oh.
And he does this thing every once in a while, like Life Aquatic. It's all stop motion fish. This has a stop motion roadrunner that just shows up from time to time, which I really enjoyed. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We watched the first episode Sunday night and finished the 8th episode Monday afternoon because
Nice.
I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It is my favorite new television series, probably the last 3 or 4 years. Donald Glover is a force of nature. His character was flawed and fearless and perfect. Maya Erskine, she's amazing. She's amazing. I've seen her in other things. I know she was in Pen 15. She's really good, but in this she's just amazing. And they do something like it's an action show. It's got amazing set pieces. They don't just set dress Lake Como. They go to Lake Como. There's incredible guest stars. Parker Posey is terrifying in this show. It's just like, it's everything I need in a spy show. But for about 10 minutes of every episode, there's this bit where they just sit down and monologue and talk. And it's such good acting. And the last episode has everything you want in a we screwed everybody over whodunit. And I love it. I cannot wait for a second season. I hands down recommend it more than I've recommended anything in a long, long time. Like it's just, to me, and maybe only to me, a flawless spy show.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy to think too. Maya Erskine's character was supposed to be Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, I read
And
that.
Not that there's
he
anything
said
wrong
some-
with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I worship Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but Maya Erskine is such
I
a
think
good choice.
Yeah, yeah.
She's so good. And he even said with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, he's just like, no hard feelings, but she's a writer too. And she was rewriting the scripts, and I can't have that as executive producer. So, and he's like, if she had made her own show, I would have loved it because I loved what she was doing, but it was my show. So there wasn't room for that. So
There you go. Yes, Tony, you
Oh, I was just gonna say it's been a lot of fun. We just my favorite episode so far has been the Ron Perlman episode.
I threw up.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've only
it's,
seen the first
he's-
episode, you guys. Oh my god.
Ron
Yeah,
Perlman's
no,
in I think the 6th episode or the 5th episode. Is it 8
And he-
or is it 10? The season.
I think it's 8.
Okay,
think
yeah.
it's 8.
So I think we've only got 1 or 2 episodes left, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great show. So the one thing to remember when you're going into it as a blindly is think of Mr. and Mrs. Smith the movie, but reverse the situation. It's the opposite of how Mr. and Mrs. Smith played out in that they got married and didn't know each other was a spy. In this one, they are spies first, and then they're put together by the company to live together and do missions. And so
There is a
they're
mythology they
married,
build over those
right?
8 episodes that, oh my God.
And they have to deal with the issues of trying to portray a married couple in public without actually, having just met this person a week ago, kind of a thing. And so it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
The first, so I've only seen the first episode. Is that Minka Kelly? Was I correct? That was in the first episode. In the very beginning, there's Alexander Skarsgård. And,
Oh.
The other
And-
Smiths.
Yeah.
yeah, is that Minka Kelly? I'll just look it up.
I don't know, but they also, another thing. They go places in this show. They go all over the world in this show, which is fantastic. I love that. I always get a chuckle when shows like Alias say, "Oh, hey, we went to Rome," and you're like, "Okay, you showed a stock shot of Rome,
Yeah.
and then
And then
here
you
we
went
are
to
in
the back
Vancouver."
part of the studio.
Yeah, but they're very obviously where they say
Yeah.
they're at. And also, if you were a fan of men's fashion,
yes.
you will not be disappointed. That man
I'm so
is
serious.
a fashion plate.
He's so hot, you guys, and it's because he's
The last
dressed
episode,
so well.
yeah, but he also, like as my wife pointed out, there was not a single episode where he at some point forgets to put a shirt on, and Rachel says, "God bless America" every time he comes on screen. Because, that
That's
that
not
8th
Minka
episode.
Kelly. Her name is Isa Gonzalez.
That 8th episode, he wears an all-white outfit that carries on through the entirety of one of the most brutal fight scenes I've ever seen on TV. So just watch the damn show and enjoy it. Because,
Wow.
oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next? Who wants to go?
I'll keep going if you want.
Okay. Keep going, Tom.
So yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a lot of fun. Highly recommend as well. We finally watched. Well, okay, I'll get to that one in a minute. First, The Stinkers. We watched a movie called Lemon. If you've ever
Oh,
seen
was it
that,
a lemon?
it was a lemon. And the thing about it is, it's one of those ones that you look at and you think, "Oh, this has a really fun cast. It should be good." Let me pull up the thing here to tell you who was in this because it's not good. It's got
See, when I saw the title Lemon, I was hoping that it was about
Oh,
Liz
it's
Lemon
got
from
a really good cast. So you have
it's
like
got Brett Gelman,
Michael
Judy
Cera.
Greer, Michael Cera, Jillian Jacobs, a lot of good Megan Mullally. A lot of good actors and actresses. Rhea Perlman's in there for a few minutes. Anyway, it wanted to be a Napoleon Dynamite style movie, but it just couldn't pull it off. A lot of it was just like, you watch it and you're like, I know what they were trying to go through there, but it just meh. So it's on Hulu. I wouldn't recommend wasting your time on it though. But one that is on Hulu that was hilarious and really caught my wife off guard because Sandra Oh is in it, and she is so funny. When everything else my wife has seen Sandra Oh in, she's been a more serious role. The Quiz Lady is an absolutely funny movie with Sandra Oh and Awkwafina and Will Ferrell. And I highly recommend that one. That one had me howling the entire time. Great comedy right there. And then what else? Oh, I guess that was it. Oh, I watched the Solar Opposites Valentine's Day special. That was a lot of fun.
I still need to watch that.
It was good. Yeah. If you're a fan of the Solar Opposites, you're gonna love it. The Solar Opposites decide they need to destroy love because it's ruining their February 14th. What is it? Dinner plans every year.
It will do that. All right. Rebecca, Rob, who wants to go?
I'll go. Some movies that I watched this week. I'm trying to watch all of the Oscar movies before the Oscars. So this week I watched Society of the Snow, which is a Spanish film about the plane crash that happened in the Andes with the Uruguayan rugby team. Where they had to eat people to survive. Really good movie. The plane crash sequence I had to watch like this because it was so scary. I also watched Elemental, that Pixar movie. Pixar movie. And then I
remember when that comment would have been met with abject skepticism.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I enjoyed
the thing about Elemental, it was
too.
mismarketed. It's an immigrant story, and like first generation immigrants. They needed to promote that more.
It's a smart little movie. I liked it.
I also watched Flamin' Hot, the Cheetos movie, because if you remember, the year 2023 was the year of the business movie, and Flamin' Hot is an Oscar-nominated movie. Because
What?
you guys are ready for another conspiracy corner featuring Rebecca Frost. Last year, there was a movie nominated for Best Original Song, and it was the worst song and the worst movie I've ever seen, I've ever heard.
Which was it?
The movie was called Tell It Like a Woman, and the song was called Applause. The song was nominated for Best Original Song, and it was written by Diane Warren. And the thing about Diane Warren is her songs get nominated for Oscars like all the time.
Yeah.
Eva Longoria was in that movie. 2023, Flamin' Hot, the Cheetos movie, directed by Eva Longoria. The Best Original Song written by Diane Warren. So, people of the internet, what does it mean?
I don't know. What does it mean?
But
I'm putting it out there to you, internet. You tell me what it means.
This is the movie about the creation of the Flaming Hot Cheeto.
Yeah.
And honestly, pretty good. Like
Really?
I had no idea that was the origin of the Flamin' Hot Cheeto, and
Allegedly.
it was a cute,
Allegedly,
charming little movie. Like I wasn't mad that I watched it.
I think that actual origin story was proven to be bunk.
What?
I don't know. I thought I read an article on it like last year where it's like, actually, the Flamin' Hot Cheeto, blah, blah, blah. And there's a bunch of controversy over what the truth is.
I would just suggest to you, for Eva Longoria, in all of her wonderfulness, look for the CNN docuseries Searching for Mexico.
Great show.
Great show. She is resplendent and takes us around Mexico to find all the good food and tequila.
It's almost more anthropology than food show.
Yes.
Because she's going to some real far off corners of Mexico, and great show.
Exactly.
Great show.
And then in theaters this previous weekend, Lisa Frankenstein,
Did you
starring Catherine Newton, directorial debut by Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, written also by Diablo Cody. So you kind of have like three like names that would definitely get me to the theater
right there. Yeah.
This should have gone straight to Netflix.
That's
Diablo.
sad to
I
hear.
really like Diablo Cody's writing. I always have since Juno. and this felt like she wrote it on a napkin in a restaurant. Like she just like it was so reined in and tame, and
That's too bad. I love the premise.
yeah, and like visually appeal, like it's very fun to like look at. Catherine Newton was making some choices that I think I liked. But overall, just wait for Lisa Frankenstein to hit streaming. It's yeah.
There you go.
Nah.
There you go.
Wow.
Rob?
All right. So I guess we'll start with watched and for me binged, which is basically spreading it over a week. Echo finally.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
fun show.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Good.
Curious to see where it goes.
Watch
D'Onofrio
the making of Echo as well.
will do.
very-
D'Onofrio
edu-
again does
very
not disappoint. I was was very happy to see this take on the Kingpin. I was disappointed that there was no Van Door, but I did get an ice cream salesman, so it was toss up. It was good. Nod to my two nods to my childhood. Masters of the Universe Revolution, the new 5-episode series on Netflix, continuing
fun.
Kevin Smith's Revelation series, and this entire thing has not failed to impress and entertain. All 15 or I guess 20 episodes, depending on, I can't remember what the first 2 seasons were. This is just 5, and it's tightly told. Things actually happen to change things again in the Masters universe, and it's good. And for those who care, you do get William Shatner as William Shatner. Well, I mean, William Shatner as Keldor, the brother of He-Man's father.
Randor. Yep.
Oh, yeah, Randor's
Man's
brother.
uncle.
And it's the story that they weave with those two takes some turns I didn't expect, but it was actually just really good and fun to watch.
Interesting.
I recommend it. Another nod to my childhood. This is my Superman.
Oh,
Christopher
there you go.
Reeve.
This is
So-
Nice.
they've been doing these retro story. They've got a Batman title, and this is the Superman title. It's
Yeah,
like
so there's Batman 89 and Superman 78. Sorry. This is the second series of Superman 78, and I'm happy because it keeps it. Who's writing this? Tom Venditti has a great take on the Christopher Reeve style of who Superman and Clark Kent are, and it's
good.
just a fun read. And my new read, Black Klansman.
Ooh.
Is that what wasn't there a movie
This is what
based
the
on
movie
this?
is based on.
Okay. Yeah.
This is
Good
the
movie.
story. This is the story of how the first detective in Colorado Springs, Colorado, wound up inadvertently becoming affiliated with the Klan in Colorado Springs, and how he's investigating them. And this is a page turner. I mean, if you have a chance to get this at your local library, bookseller, Kindle, whatever, get the book, read it. I have not seen the movie, so I want to finish this before I see the movie,
Okay.
just
Yeah,
because I don't want to be disappointed in one or the other, just so I can juxtapose them fairly.
all right. I like the
I
movie.
am-
So
I am loving this book.
yeah, it's based on a true story, right?
Yes.
What is-
1978.
What is the story from the movie where, because Topher Grace is in it and he plays, I believe, a Klan leader. I also haven't seen the movie, but the director was like, you know what, just like feel free to improvise and just play with it. And Topher Grace is like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Please just tell me exactly what to say.
Tell me the racist things that I should say.
Yeah.
Don't make me invent new racisms for the movie.
Reading this and hearing how this investigation is developing, it's fascinating. They're getting ready. I'm at a point now where they're getting ready for David Duke to show up in Colorado, and everybody's like, and there's counter protesting that's going on as well. It's like, so we got, a lot of,
Dr. Paul reminds us that Topher plays David Duke in the movie.
oh,
Oh.
perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Perfect.
So I was right, technically.
Yeah, you were.
So yeah, I should be done with this by next week and should have a review of how the book went. But I am quite loving this book.
That's exciting. All right.
Happy Black History Month.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed.
Can I do one thing I forgot?
Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Books and movies and whatnot reminded me that we finished the Percy Jackson series, the new one on
You're
Disney
getting season
Plus.
I
2,
hear
by the
it's
way.
cute.
Yes, it
I
is.
hear
It's actually really good. Yeah, I read all the books when I was younger, and this one does a really good job of translating that story to the TV, and I highly recommend it. Really good show.
You're going to get a season 2 on that.
Yes.
I just watched mostly Star Trek this week because, well, the Space Show. But I did manage to sit down and watch not only the Marvels, but the making of the Marvels. Now, I thought it was interesting that Disney Plus dropped them both on the same day.
And to no pomp, no circumstance,
No warning.
no
Yeah.
festivities at all.
It just showed
here's
up
the
on my
Marvels.
Disney Plus. Yeah, here you go, watch it. And I went, okay. So I sat down and watched the making of this. The filmmakers, they're so sincere and they're so proud of what they were doing when they were making this movie, and it just kind of makes me sad that it was received so poorly because it's a fun
the
little
neckbeards.
film. Yeah,
It's the stupid neckbeards. They pissed me off so bad because that movie was my favorite of the Marvel movies in a while.
yeah. I mean, it
really
doesn't. It doesn't have to be consequential for you
No.
to enjoy it. It can be its own story and do its own thing. And watching these three together on screen, having a hell of a time, and they're practicing and they're getting their powers figured out, and it was
They
just
did
delightful.
a thing. They did a
Yeah.
thing in the Marvels that threw me for a loop because I was expecting what Marvel always does. Heroes get together for the first time. They're gonna fight. They're gonna
Gotta
fight.
fight.
They're gonna fight. And
This
no,
is-
They did that
they
in the
took that
Avengers
kid under
already.
the. They took that kid under their wing. Carol was so nice to her, and just like even though she was distant, she wasn't the role model that I think Kamala wanted. She's still.
I was
She's
gonna say,
still
I don't know
like
about
they warmed
nice.
up.
Yeah, I
No,
was
but
gonna
as
say,
nice as Carol Danvers could be at that moment.
Tolerant of her.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Okay,
that's
all right.
Carol Danvers, right? And
Yeah.
then when they get to the singing planet, and I was dying because here's Kamala just boogieing along with everybody, like she's totally into it because everybody's singing and dancing and having a great time. God, I love that movie so much; it's so good. And
Yeah.
And
Meh,
the thing
I hate it.
like there's a huge complaint too about Captain Marvel about how she has the Superman problem, right? Like this was the big issue when it came to Endgame of like she has the Superman problem. She's so powerful, she's so invincible. How do you make a character interesting? They took that away from her in the Marvels. They made it so that the whole thing is the three of them switch powers, and that's they tackled the Superman problem in such a cute, charming way that I'm just sad people didn't see it.
But they also did the perfect Superman thing in that movie, where how do you make Superman interesting for people who think he's overpowered or can't be stopped? Give him a problem he can't punch.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
for Carol, this was Monica. And it was
Yes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
And I loved
Exactly.
the dynamic that they portrayed there, because I had questions of like, how is this going to work? And I was happily answered with
And-
what they did.
And Sam Jackson's take on Nick Fury in this movie is slightly different than any other take he's had on Nick Fury. He was like the frustrated grandfather of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I
you know
love
you're
when
gonna have
Monica's.
you're gonna have to talk to her. You know that.
I love when Monica's trying to fly and he gets so exasperated and
Black girl
finally just yells, "Black girl magic!"
Well, and then they swap, and it's just Carol lands on the ground,
Yeah.
and Nick goes, "Oh, it's just Carol."
Yeah,
Just Carol.
and my
I mean,
wife
just-
is losing it. Like, throw
just-
a cat in anything, and my wife's on board. So the whole bit when they're
Yeah.
like, "Please don't run away from the Flurkins. Please let the Flurkins eat you."
Let them eat you. But I mean, great little moments with Sam Jackson where a character says something that we finally figured out, and he'll point to him and go, "This here," just little things like that.
Yeah.
This right here.
Yeah.
I loved it. Anyway,
And
You've got
they,
evolution with his character,
yes.
which
And they
I
made
don't
me
think we entirely got with
and they
Secret
made me
Invasion.
scream during that post-credit scene.
Yes. Yes.
So the post-credit scene blew my mind.
Enough said
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, Lane, you didn't miss it. They just dropped Marvels onto Disney Plus with no warning. It just showed up. All right.
And a shame because, like I said, I think
Yeah.
it was a return to form for them because they seem to have been treading water and kind of going under a couple times.
Yeah.
Not that I have a lot of complaints. Still, I would have been delirious for the worst of the Marvel movies 30 years ago, but this was great.
Yeah. Games, Tony? Anything?
Yeah,
we
let
go?
me see. Coming out the second week of October. We're not that
No.
far along in the year
No.
yet. February.
I mean, I know I was out for a while, but sheesh.
It's October, Lee. Sorry, bud. Everyone's been lying to you
Ah.
for the last month. Let's see. We got Dragon Quest Builders coming out. If you like the Dragon Quest and buildings, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden is something coming out. Fight Crab 2 for
Fight Crab.
Yeah, on early access for PC.
I'm in just because of the title.
If it's the same
Somebody's been reading my journal again.
Fight Crab. If it's the same thing I'm thinking of, they made a sequel to the game where you play as a crab and you have in your claws you have like knives and stuff and you attack each other.
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's ridiculous. And then Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered is coming out on Valentine's Day. That's just a nice
Wait, like
Valentine's Day
which
game drop.
Which ones? Like
So the
been the
original,
first.
like PlayStation 1
triangle boobies?
Triangle Boobies is coming out
Okay.
again. Tomb Raider 1 through 3, but they remastered them to update the graphics a little bit. It's not a remake, it's just a remaster, so they just made it look a little bit better and make it so you can run it on like modern consoles and stuff like that. But
Oh.
and then I believe, that falls under the week. Mario versus Donkey Kong on the Switch. They showed that one off a few months ago. Looks kind of fun.
Well, if you could throw crab fight in that one, I'd be happy.
Could you imagine Mario versus Donkey Kong versus crabs?
So basically, just remake Super Mario Brothers and put Donkey Kong in it.
There we go.
Yes.
That's what they should do. We got Skull and Bones is finally coming out from Ubisoft. That's the game that's been in development ever since Assassin's Creed boat fighting in the Caribbean. I can't remember what the name of that one was. Black Flag. Assassin's Creed Black Flag back on the Xbox 360.
Oh,
They
great
teased-
game.
Yeah, they teased that they were going to make just a pirate game back after that came out, and it's been in development ever since then. They've like scrapped it and restarted it a couple times. So it's finally out. I don't know if it's any good, but it's called I lost it. Skull and Bones. So there's that. Kind of a big week actually.
Is the skull not
early
bone?
in the gear. You know, that is a valid point, Rebecca. I don't know
That's in
what they're
reference to the that's in reference to the flag, though.
Nope.
It's a
Don't
skull
care.
with two crossbones.
it's all bones. It should
Just
say
like saying bone and bones.
yeah, it
you
should
know?
say
I'm gonna pull this goddamn car over.
crossbones and head bones is what it should say.
bone and more bones.
Bone
Brett-
and more bones.
Brett's suggestion is skull and other bones.
Yeah, skull and other
Oh,
bones.
I like
There you
that.
go.
Okay.
It's good,
and,
Brett.
And Egg explains why I didn't see any advertisements for the Marvels coming. It's because I don't watch football. He says I saw
Oh,
commercials
yeah.
during football.
Oh, who are you guys
it
rooting
wasn't-
for tomorrow?
Taylor
I'm rooting
Swift.
I'm rooting for the appetizers and the main course and
Outstanding.
Or sure.
I just want to know which superb owl will be there.
the superb owl.
This is the owl's egg.
Night Owl from The Watchmen.
Just real quick here, I'm torn as to who to root for because San Francisco is one of my favorite cities. I want to root for San Francisco, but so what I do is I look at what the political situation is. The Bros,
Oh, so then the Chiefs, obviously.
the Bros don't want the Chiefs to win.
because of
so-
Taylor Swift or
Yeah, but I'm also enjoying the fact that the Bros are rooting for the second gayest city in the nation.
think about that.
So
Think about that.
The Bros don't
it's-
want the Chiefs to win because it's a psyop from the Biden administration to
Yes.
get Taylor
Yeah.
Swift and Travis Kelce to endorse
Yeah.
President Biden in the election.
Oh my
So
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway,
How dare they conspire that a centrist is going to nominate it or endorse a centrist for president?
I just wish that the Democrats were as good at creating all these psyops like they say that
As we
people
keep
Could you
getting accused
imagine?
of, yeah.
Could you imagine?
All right, let's,
Healthcare? Absolutely not. Taylor Swift meta psyop organization.
You betcha. We got that.
Thank you all for being here. We're going to head to the after party right now, and you can join us, geekshowgotthiscovered.com, if you step in there.
All right, guys, we have 2 minutes for costume change. So
All right, so costume change. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. Live long and prosper, bitches.